The stars stretched across the dark sky like endless silver dust. Aaron sat inside his small ship, staring at the navigation screen as the engines hummed softly. He had been traveling for months across uncharted regions, mapping asteroid belts and scanning distant worlds for his employers back on Earth. Most days were quiet and uneventful, filled only with the routine sounds of machines working. Aaron was used to the silence. He was a lone explorer, and though loneliness often weighed on him, he accepted it as part of the life he had chosen. Sometimes, to fight the silence, he would talk to himself or hum an old song. Other times, he would just gaze at the glowing stars and wonder how many civilizations might have risen and fallen in these vast distances. That night, as the ship drifted past a red giant star, the sensors began to beep. A strange object appeared on the screen. At first, Aaron thought it was an asteroid, but its shape was too structured. The computer marked it as artificial, an enormous vessel floating in the star's shadow. Aaron leaned closer to the monitor. The ship was vast, at least 10 times larger than any human battleship he had seen in records. Its outer hull looked old, darkened with the wear of countless years. Strange symbols ran along its sides, glowing faintly like embers refusing to die out. The sight gave him a chill, but curiosity was stronger than fear. He adjusted his controls and moved closer. His ship's systems warned of unusual energy readings. The red giant's light fell across the mysterious vessel, making it look like the shadow of a forgotten empire drifting through eternity. Aaron spoke quietly to himself. "What are you doing out here?" The docking scanner found an entrance on the lower hull, still powered after what looked like centuries. Aaron debated leaving at once, but something inside him whispered that this was a discovery no human could ignore. He took a deep breath and suited up in his exploration gear. As his ship connected to the docking port, the airlock opened with a hiss. The interior beyond was dark and silent. Aaron stepped forward, his boots clicking against the floor. His helmet light revealed wide corridors lined with tall arches. The walls were decorated with symbols that pulsed faintly like veins of living light. Every step echoed in the silence. Dust floated in the air, but it was not the dust of decay. It seemed more like tiny fragments of energy. Aaron felt as though the ship itself was still alive in some strange way. He moved deeper, recording everything with his suit's camera. The halls seemed designed for beings much taller than humans, their ceilings rising far above his head. The more he walked, the stronger the sense of presence became, as if unseen eyes were watching him. At last, he reached a grand chamber. The ceiling arched high, supported by pillars carved with flowing designs. In the center stood a throne made of dark metal, tall and sharp-edged like a monument. For a moment, Aaron thought it was empty. Then, with a sound like distant thunder, a figure rose from the shadows. She was enormous, at least 9 feet tall, her figure towering above him. Her skin was pale like moonlight, and her eyes glowed faintly crimson. Her hair flowed black as night, and she wore armor that shimmered faintly with hidden energy. There was power in her posture, and a presence so heavy that Aaron almost forgot to breathe. The figure looked down at him, tilting her head slightly. Her voice, when she spoke, was deep and smooth, echoing in the chamber. A human. Curious. It has been longer than I remember since one of your kind set foot here. Aaron froze, stunned that she spoke his language. Who are you? He asked carefully. The towering woman stepped closer, each movement slow and graceful like a predator studying something fragile. I am Countess Vera, ruler of the Lost Houses, heir of the Eternal Throne. You are small, human, fragile, yet you walk into my hall without fear. Strange. Aaron felt his heartbeat quicken, but he refused to back away. I am not afraid. I came to explore. Your ship was drifting. I wanted to know who you are. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Bold. Humans were always bold, even in the stories of old. Tell me, little one, do you see yourself as prey or as something greater? Aaron straightened his back. I see myself as a survivor. That is what humans are. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Vera studied him with eyes that seemed to look through his very soul. Then she laughed softly, a sound that echoed like a song in the dark. A survivor. Yes, I can see that. You are fragile, yet there is fire in you. Perhaps that is why your kind endures. She circled him slowly, towering above him like a giant shadow. Her words carried both amusement and curiosity. You are small. Too small to be a rival. Too bold to be a servant. Perhaps you are something else. Perhaps you're a pet. Aaron frowned at the word. He hated being compared to something lesser. I am not a pet. I am a person. A human being, Vera's smile widened. Then show me, human. Show me what makes your kind more than prey. She turned and moved toward the throne again, her steps heavy but graceful. She gestured for him to follow. Aaron hesitated but stepped forward. Every part of him screamed that she was dangerous, but his curiosity burned stronger. The throne room opened into a vast corridor filled with ancient machines, still humming faintly with energy. Aaron looked around in awe. The technology was far beyond human design, elegant and strange. Vera watched him carefully as he studied the machines. You understand these things, she asked. Not fully, Aaron admitted, but I know how machines work. If I study them, I can learn. Interesting, Vera said softly. Your kind adapts quickly. That has always been your strength. She moved closer again, her height forcing him to look up at her. Tell me, human survivor. What is your name, Aaron? He answered firmly. Aaron, she repeated, tasting the word as if it were new to her. Then know this. You have stepped into a place of power long forgotten. You have awakened one who has waited centuries in silence. For that you will remain by my side. Whether as pet, partner, or something else, time will decide. Aaron felt both unease and fascination at her words. He had wanted adventure, and now he stood in front of a being who belonged to legends. He knew leaving would not be simple, and perhaps he did not even want to leave. As the Countess turned her gaze to the dark star beyond the chamber windows, Aaron realized his journey was no longer his own. The silence of space had given him a discovery far greater than he ever imagined. He had met something ancient, powerful, and lonely, and she had chosen him to stay. The ship's lights flickered as if the vessel itself was awakening with its mistress. Aaron's heart pounded as he looked at her towering figure. He had no idea what awaited him, but one thing was certain. His life would never be the same again. The throne chamber of the massive ship felt like a place carved out of time itself. Countess Vera stood tall near the throne, her red eyes glowing faintly in the shadows. Aaron kept his composure, though the sight of her would have shaken most people. She was powerful, alien, and ancient, yet there was something more in her gaze, something beyond cold authority. Follow me, Vera said, her voice calm but commanding. Aaron walked behind her as they left the throne chamber and entered a corridor lined with strange machines. The walls pulsed with streams of light that looked like flowing blood, though Aaron sensed it was energy rather than anything living. The hum of power filled the air, steady and low like the heartbeat of the ship itself. This vessel was built in an age when my people ruled the stars, Vera explained as they walked. It is a throne ship, a symbol of dominion. Yet centuries of slumber have left it weakened. Machines function, but many systems remain broken. Aaron listened carefully. Then maybe I can help. I am no engineer of your kind, but I know how machines work. I have repaired ships before. Vera turned her head slightly, studying him. You speak as though your small hands could restore what even my guardians cannot. Aaron shrugged. Sometimes machines do not need power or strength. They need clever hands and a mind willing to try. Humans are good at that. A faint smile touched her lips. We shall see. They entered a chamber filled with floating constructs. The machines resembled armored statues, silent and motionless with glowing cores at their chests. They were guardians, ancient sentinels built to serve. Their eyes lit faintly as Vera passed, acknowledging her presence, but they did not move. These are my protectors, she said, yet they are bound by old commands. They cannot repair, cannot adapt. They only follow. Aaron stepped closer to one of the machines. He examined its surface, running his gloved hand over the worn metal. He found panels and joints, and though the design was strange, he could sense logic behind it. The machine reminded him of human drones, but far more advanced. Maybe I can learn their systems, he said. If I can connect my scanner, I might find a way to restore functions you thought lost. Vera raised a brow. You would touch the core of my guardians. Bold again, little human, do so. I will watch. Aaron connected his handheld scanner to a panel, his device sparking briefly before settling. Data poured across his visor. Symbols and codes unlike human language filled the screen. At first it was chaos, but Aaron began to see patterns. Slowly he unlocked a path into the machine's core. The Guardian stirred slightly, its eyes glowing brighter. Vera's gaze sharpened and her stance stiffened, as though preparing for danger. But the machine did not attack. Instead, it straightened its body as if awakening from a long dream. Aaron pulled back his device and exhaled. There, I gave it a new command, basic maintenance mode. It can repair itself now, maybe even other systems. Vera stepped forward, her tall frame casting a shadow over him. She looked into the glowing eyes of the Guardian, then turned her gaze to Aaron. Her lips curved into a slow smile. Impressive, she said softly. You speak truth. Your kind is adaptable. In a single attempt, you have done what my Guardians could not for centuries. Aaron grinned faintly. I told you. Humans survive because we adapt. For a long moment, Vera studied him. Her towering presence made him feel small, yet her eyes no longer saw him as something fragile. There was a spark of respect now. You are no ordinary human, she said. I thought of you as a pet, something small to amuse me. But perhaps you are more than that. Perhaps you are a partner. Aaron met her gaze, refusing to flinch. If you see me as a partner, then treat me like one. I may be small, but I will stand beside you, not below you. The chamber fell silent. Then Vera gave a slow nod. Very well. Show me more of this human strength. The next days passed with work and discovery. Aaron spent hours exploring different sections of the throne ship, repairing what systems he could. Sometimes Vera guided him, pointing out ancient machines whose purposes had long been forgotten. Other times she simply watched, curious about how he worked. He repaired energy relays, reconnected navigation sensors, and even restored partial control to the ship's great engines. Each success earned a faint but genuine smile from the Countess. Her towering figure often stood in silence, arms crossed, her crimson eyes following his every move. In return, Aaron asked questions about her people. She told him stories of empires that stretched across galaxies, of rulers who commanded fleets larger than stars. She spoke of endless wars that drained her kind, until at last they chose slumber over destruction. She had slept for centuries, waiting until his arrival stirred her awake. Aaron listened, fascinated. Yet beneath her words he sensed loneliness. For all her power, she was the last of her house, surrounded only by silent guardians. He wondered if calling him a pet had been less insult and more an attempt to hold on to something alive. One night, as they stood near a viewport looking out at the stars, Aaron spoke quietly. You are strong. You are powerful. But you were also alone, were you not? Vera's eyes shifted to him, calm but sharp. For a moment she did not answer. Then her voice lowered.
Yes, alone for longer than you can imagine.
Silence and darkness were my only companions. Until you came, Aaron nodded. Then maybe that is why you called me a pet. You did not know what else to call me. But I am not a pet, Vera, I am a human. And humans stand with those they trust. Her expression softened just slightly. She looked down at him, her crimson eyes glowing faintly. And do you trust me, little human? Aaron met her gaze without fear. I do not know yet, but I want to. And if you trust me, then maybe we will find out together. For the first time, the Countess's smile carried warmth. Then let us test this bond. Soon you will see that my kind do not take trust lightly. The test came sooner than Aaron expected. As he worked on a control hub, alarms rang through the ship. The symbols on the walls flared bright red. Vera appeared instantly, her tall frame moving with speed and grace. What is it? Aaron asked. An intruder signal, she answered. Not from my ship. From outside, someone approaches. Aaron hurried to the control station. The sensors showed a small fleet of ships moving toward them. They were sleek and sharp, with markings he did not recognize. Do you know them? Aaron asked. Vera's eyes narrowed. Yes, enemies of my kind. Even after centuries, they still hunt us. The ships closed in quickly. Weapons charged, glowing bright across the dark void. Aaron felt a surge of fear, but Vera's presence steadied him. They will attack, she said. My ship is damaged. Its strength is not what it was. Yet I will not fall. Will you stand with me, human? Aaron swallowed hard, then nodded firmly. Yes, tell me what to do. Vera's crimson eyes blazed. Then together we will fight. I will show you what it means to be Countess of the Lost Houses, and you will show me what it means to be human. As the enemy fleet drew near, the throne ship's dormant power stirred. Lights flared across its vast hull. Guardians awoke, their eyes burning like stars. Aaron stood at the control hub, hands moving quickly, while Vera took her place upon the throne, commanding the ancient vessel with her presence. The bond between them was no longer of pet and master. It was something new, forged in the shadow of battle. The throne ship trembled as the enemy fleet drew closer. From the control hub, Aaron's visor filled with streams of data while Countess Vera sat upon the towering throne, her presence igniting the ancient systems of the vessel. Red warning lights flashed across the walls. Outside, sleek ships moved in perfect formation, their engines glowing white. Each one was armed, and Aaron counted at least a dozen. His heart pounded, but his hands did not stop moving. "Who are they?" he asked, scanning the signals. Vera's crimson eyes narrowed. "They are the Morveth. For centuries they feared my kind. They believed if even one of us woke, their power would be undone. They were right to fear." Aaron looked at her. "They will not let you live." "They will not let us live," she corrected, her voice calm but firm. "You chose to stand with me. Now their eyes will see you as enemy too." Aaron nodded once. "Then we fight." Vera's lips curved in a faint smile. She raised one hand and the guardians came to life around them. Dozens of towering constructs straightened their bodies, their glowing eyes turning bright. Ancient weapons unfolded from their arms, humming with energy. The ship's great cannons shifted into position along the hull, power building as Vera's will coursed through them. The Morveth ships opened fire first. Beams of light cut through space, slamming into the throne ship's shields. The entire vessel shook, but the ancient defenses held. Sparks rained from the ceiling as Aaron tightened his grip on the controls. "They are fast," he said. "Too fast for us to simply trade fire." Vera's gaze shifted toward him. "Then what do you suggest?" Human Aaron's mind raced. Human ships were small, weak compared to this massive throne ship, but they had always relied on cleverness to survive. He remembered the lessons of old captains. Never meet power with power, but with unpredictability. "Your ship is huge," he said quickly. "They know its strength, so they expect you to fight directly. But if we move differently, if we break their rhythm, we can outwit them." Vera leaned forward slightly, her towering frame radiating curiosity. "Explain." Aaron brought up a map of the field. "We cannot outmatch their speed, but we can use the red giant's gravity. If we swing close to the star, we can force them to adjust their formation. Then we strike from angles they will not expect." Vera's crimson eyes glowed brighter. "Clever. Risky. I approve." With a wave of her hand, the throne ship shifted course. The massive engines roared back to life, guiding the ship toward the blazing star. The Morveth fleet followed closely, firing beams that seared across the void. The shields flared again, but the ancient vessel endured. Inside, Aaron worked quickly, feeding calculations into the ship's systems. The gravity of the star pulled at them, dragging them into a dangerous curve. The Morveth tried to tighten their formation, but one ship broke position for just a second. "Now!" Aaron shouted. The throne ship unleashed a storm of fire. Blazing lances of energy tore through space, striking the lead Morveth ship. It exploded in a burst of light, fragments spinning away. The Guardians launched swarms of smaller drones, darting like arrows at the enemy. Vera rose from the throne, her voice ringing through the chamber. "Strike them down." The Guardians obeyed, moving with sudden speed. Their weapons cut across the void, tearing into enemy shields. Aaron guided the drones, sending them to target engines and weak points. He worked with focus, his mind burning with determination. Another Morveth ship went down, then another. The throne ship roared with life, its ancient power flowing stronger with each moment Vera commanded. But the Morveth were not defeated. Their remaining ships split apart, surrounding the throne ship in a deadly circle. Beams rained down from every side. Shields flickered. Warning alarms screamed. Aaron's visor flashed with danger signs. "We cannot hold this position," Aaron said sharply. Vera's eyes narrowed. "Then we break it." She raised both arms and the ship's core pulsed with a blinding light. Energy surged through the vessel, shaking the walls. The Guardians chanted in unison, their voices metallic and strange. Then from the ship's center, a wave of force exploded outward. The blast struck the enemy ships, scattering them like leaves in a storm. Their formation broke apart. Aaron seized the chance, directing the drones into the gaps. 2 more ships were destroyed. Another spun out of control, flames bursting from its hull. Aaron exhaled hard. It worked. But they will come again. They will not stop. Vera looked toward the distant stars. Her gaze was calm, but her voice carried iron. "They fear me too much to stop. They will send more. Larger fleets." This was only the beginning. Aaron turned toward her, his face pale but steady. "Then we need a new way to fight. You have strength. I have ideas. If we combine them, we might stand a chance." She studied him for a long moment. Her towering figure loomed, but there was no mockery in her eyes now. Only respect. Very well, she said. You are no pet. You are no servant. You are my ally. From this moment, you fight beside me. Aaron nodded. Then we fight together. The next days were filled with preparation. Vera commanded the Guardians to rebuild damaged sections of the ship, while Aaron worked on strategies. He studied Morveth tactics, noting patterns in how they moved and attacked. He began training the drones to act unpredictably, weaving in and out of enemy formations like hunters. Vera watched him often, sometimes in silence, sometimes asking questions. She was fascinated by the way his human mind found paths her empire would never have considered. To her people, war had been a matter of power and dominance. To Aaron, war was survival, and survival meant bending rules until they broke. One night, as they stood again by the viewport, Aaron spoke quietly. You asked me once if I see myself as prey. I think now you see that I do not. Vera's crimson eyes glowed faintly. I see it. You are fragile in body, but not in spirit. Your fire burns brighter than I expected. Aaron looked at her. And you? You may call yourself ruler of the lost houses, but you are more than that. You are alone no longer. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then Vera gave a slow nod. No longer alone, yes. Their bond grew stronger, but so did the danger. Soon after, new signals appeared on the scanners. A larger fleet of Morveth ships was moving toward them, more than double the size of the first. Aaron felt his stomach tighten. They will not stop, he said. They want to erase you from existence. And you as well, Vera said calmly. They see us as one now. Aaron looked at her, then at the glowing star outside. He felt fear, but also a strange strength. He was no longer a lone explorer. He stood beside someone powerful, someone who had chosen him. Then let us make them see what it means to fight both of us, Aaron said. Vera's lips curved into a fierce smile. Yes, together we will show them. The alarms flared again. The enemy was near. And as the throne ship stirred with ancient power, Aaron and Vera prepared for the trial that would decide not just their survival, but their place in a galaxy that still feared the return of her kind. The vast silence of space was broken only by the steady hum of the throne ship as it drifted near the red giant star. Aaron stood at the control hub, watching streams of data race across his visor. Countess Vera stood tall by the throne, her crimson eyes fixed on the scanner display. The Morveth fleet was approaching, larger this time, stronger. At least 30 ships, each sleek and sharp, moving like predators through the void. Their formation spread across the screen like a web tightening around prey. Aaron exhaled slowly. They have doubled their numbers. They are serious now. Vera's voice was calm, but her tone carried the weight of command. Of course they are. The Morveth believe fear is strength. If they fail to destroy me now, their fear will spread. They cannot allow that. Aaron clenched his fists. Then we cannot afford mistakes. He quickly checked the throne ship's status. Shields had been restored but not fully strengthened. Weapons were functional, yet energy reserves were still unstable. The Guardians had repaired much, but the ancient ship remained scarred from centuries of silence and the last battle. We need a plan, Aaron said. Vera turned her gaze toward him. You have guided us well before. Speak. Aaron tapped the screen, bringing up the enemy formation. If we try to fight head-on, they will surround us. Their ships are fast and coordinated. We cannot match them in speed, but we can break their formation. How? Vera asked, her tall frame leaning slightly forward. Aaron's eyes narrowed. We use deception. Humans survive for centuries not by being the strongest, but by being unpredictable. If they expect us to defend, we attack where they are weakest. If they expect us to retreat, we move forward. We make them chase shadows until they open a gap. Vera studied him, then gave a faint smile. You think like a predator hiding in small skin. I approve. The enemy fleet closed in, their weapons glowing. Aaron's hands moved swiftly across the controls. Drones launched from hidden bays, hundreds of them scattering like sparks into the void. The Morveth immediately responded, shifting their formation to engage. But Aaron directed the drones in strange, unorthodox patterns. Instead of attacking directly, they darted between enemy ships, forcing them to split attention. Some drones feigned damage, others exploded in sudden bursts, creating confusion. Vera's voice rang through the chamber. Now strike. The throne ship's cannons blazed. Lances of energy cut through space, smashing into 2 enemy ships before they could react. Both vessels burst apart in flames, fragments scattering into the void. The Morveth regrouped quickly, their discipline holding. Beams of white light poured toward the throne ship. The shields flared under the assault, cracks of energy rippling across the walls. The ship shook violently and Aran held onto the console. "They are pressing hard," Aran said through clenched teeth. "Let them press," Vera replied. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with fierce light. "We will endure." The Guardians marched to their stations, their heavy steps echoing through the halls. From the hull they unleashed volleys of fire, cutting down more enemy drones. Still, the Morveth pressed on. Their circle grew tighter. Aaron's visor flashed with warning after warning. "They are hurting us," he said quickly. "They want to pin us against the star. If they push us too close, the gravity will trap us." Vera looked toward him, her tall form steady as stone. "Then break their grip." Aaron's mind raced. He remembered a maneuver once used by human pilots during old wars. A desperate gamble that relied on daring and speed. "We dive," he said suddenly. "We use the star's pull to slingshot. They will think we are trapped, but the gravity will throw us back out faster than they expect. When they adjust, we strike their flank." Vera gave a slow nod. "Risky, dangerous, perfect." She raised her hand and the great engines of the throne ship roared to life. The vessel tilted toward the blazing red star. Gravity seized it instantly, pulling them downward. The heat flared across the shields and alarms screamed through the halls. The Morveth pursued, firing beams that streaked past like burning arrows. The throne ship shook under the pressure. Aaron's hands moved quickly, guiding power to the shields, adjusting angles, calculating the slingshot. His heart pounded, sweat rolling down his brow. Closer and closer they fell toward the star. The light grew blinding, filling the chamber with red glow. The shield strained, groaning under the pressure. Aaron felt his chest tighten. One mistake and they would be swallowed by the star forever. "Now," he shouted. Vera's crimson eyes flared. She unleashed the engines at full force. The throne ship jerked violently, then shot upward with sudden speed, slingshotting around the star's pull. The Morveth were caught off guard. Their formation broke as they scrambled to adjust. "Strike," Vera commanded. The throne ship unleashed its full arsenal. Cannons blazed, guardians fired, and drones swarmed. The nearest Morveth ships were torn apart in seconds, flames exploding across their hulls. The sudden counterattack shattered their discipline. Aaron seized the opening, guiding the drones into the exposed flank. They swarmed engines, detonating in fiery bursts. 3 more ships fell in moments, but the Morveth were still many. The survivors regrouped and charged with desperate fury. Beams slashed across the throne ship. One hit struck deep, shaking the vessel with brutal force. Sparks rained from the ceiling as systems flickered. Aaron staggered at his console. "They hit us hard. We are losing power in the lower decks." Vera's voice rang with authority. "Then we fight harder." She stepped down from the throne, her towering form glowing with strange energy. The ship itself seemed to pulse in answer to her will. The Guardians marched in unison, their glowing cores burning brighter. Aaron fought beside them, directing defenses, rerouting power, and launching counterstrikes. His hands never stopped moving, his mind burning with focus. The battle dragged on, fire and light filling the void. The throne ship fought like a beast reborn, its ancient strength roaring against the Morveth fleet. One by one, enemy ships fell. But the cost was heavy. The throne ship groaned under the damage, its systems strained to the edge. Finally, after what felt like hours, the last Morveth flagship loomed ahead. It was larger than the others, armed with heavy cannons that blazed like suns. Aaron's heart pounded. "That one commands the rest. If we destroy it, the battle ends." Vera's crimson eyes glowed like fire. "Then we end it now." The throne ship surged forward. Cannons roared, drones swarmed, guardians unleashed torrents of fire. The Morveth flagship fought back with furious strength, beams tearing across the shields. The ship shook, alarms screamed, and Aran nearly fell from his station. "Shields at breaking point," he shouted. "Hold," Vera commanded. The 2 titanic vessels clashed in a storm of fire. Light filled the void, brighter than the star itself. At last Aaron saw an opening, a crack in the flagship's defenses. "There," he cried, pointing at the screen. "Aim for the core, now." Vera raised both hands. Energy surged through the throne ship, flowing into its main cannon. The weapon blazed with a light that filled the chamber, then fired in a single devastating beam. The blast struck the flagship dead center. For a moment it resisted, shields flaring desperately. Then the ship exploded, a wave of fire bursting outward. fragments scattering across space. Silence followed. The remaining Morveth ships turned and fled into the darkness, broken and leaderless. The throne ship drifted, scarred and battered but victorious. Aaron collapsed back into his chair, exhausted but alive. His chest rose and fell rapidly as he stared at the screen. They had survived. Against impossible odds, they had survived. Vera stepped down from the throne, her tall frame casting a shadow over him. Her crimson eyes burned with fierce pride. "You fought with courage," she said. "You guided us when even I would not have chosen your path. You risked yourself to protect me in this vessel. No servant, no pet would do such a thing." Aaron looked up at her, his face pale but steady. "I told you before. I am not a pet. I am a human, and humans stand with those they trust." Vera's lips curved into a rare, genuine smile. She placed one hand heavy and strong upon his shoulder. "And I trust you, Aaron, more than I thought possible." The words struck deep. For the first time, Aaron saw not just the ancient empress, but someone who had found hope again. Around them, the guardians lowered their weapons. The hum of the throne ship settled into steady rhythm once more. The battle was over, but Aaron knew it was only the beginning of something greater. He had proven himself not just as survivor, but as equal. And in the silence that followed, a bond stronger than any chain was forged. The silence after the battle was heavy. The throne ship floated near the Red Star, scarred but still alive. Fires burned in some halls, and guardians marched to repair what they could. Pieces of broken Morveth ships drifted across space like ashes after a storm. Aaron stood at the cracked console, his body weary yet steady. His mind was still racing with images of the fight. The blinding flashes, the shudder of impact. The moment when the flagship of the Morveth had exploded into fire. Behind him, Countess Vera descended from the throne. Her tall form cast a long shadow over the chamber, her crimson eyes still glowing faintly. She looked at Aaron for a long time before speaking. "You guided us through the fire. The Morveth are broken, their courage shattered. Today you proved not only your strength but your spirit." Aaron looked back at her. His face was pale, his eyes tired, but his voice was firm. "I only did what was needed. Humanity has always fought like this. We do not run from fear. We find ways to survive." Vera tilted her head slightly. "And yet you did more than survive. You inspired me, and even the Guardians followed you. That is not survival. That is leadership." The words sank deep into Aaron. He had once been nothing but a scavenger among ruins, a lone human drifting across stars. Now he stood at the heart of an ancient empire, standing beside a being who had ruled for centuries. Before he could answer, the ship's alarms pulsed. A guardian approached and bowed before Vera. Its metal voice carried calm tones. "Countess, we have secured the vessel, but damage is severe. The throne ship cannot endure another battle without full restoration." Vera gave a firm nod. "Begin repairs. Use the fragments of enemy ships. Take what you need." The guardian bowed again and left. Aaron turned toward Vera. "What happens now, the Morveth will not forgive. They may regroup. Others may come." Vera's gaze turned distant as though she looked beyond the stars themselves. "Yes, they will come. But this battle has changed more than they realize. I am not alone anymore, and you are no longer a wanderer. Together we can shape what comes next." Aaron's heart beat faster. There was a weight in her words, something deeper than victory. He realized she was no longer speaking as a distant empress, but as someone who shared her power. Vera turned back to him. Her voice softened, but still carried the strength of command. "Come with me." She led him through the vast halls of the throne ship. The guardians moved aside as they passed, their glowing cores pulsing like respectful bows. The long corridors finally opened into a grand chamber Aaron had never seen before. It was vast and circular, with walls made of dark stone and metal. In the center stood a massive pedestal, and upon it rested a crown, tall, black, edged with crimson jewels that seemed to pulse with inner fire. Aaron froze, staring at it. The air felt heavier here, as if history itself pressed down upon him. Vera stepped toward the pedestal, her tall frame towering beside the crown. She spoke with solemn tone. "This is the crown of twilight. For centuries it marked the ruler of my kind. It has rested here untouched because I would wear no crown without purpose." She turned to Aaron, her eyes fixed on him. "But purpose has found me again. You gave me strength when I was fading. You showed me that even a human, small among the stars, could defy fear and lead others. You are not my servant, not my pet. You are my equal. Aaron's chest tightened. Equal, he repeated slowly as if the word carried more weight than he could hold. Vera nodded. Yes, and so I offer you the place beside me. If I am Countess, you will be king. Not because of blood or birth, but because you earned it through courage. Aaron felt the chamber spin around him. A human. King beside a vampire empress 9 feet tall, ancient, powerful. And yet she was offering him her throne. He swallowed hard. I am only one man. What if I fail? What if I am not strong enough? Vera stepped closer, lowering herself slightly so her crimson eyes met his directly. You already faced failure and rose. That is true strength. Power is not in never falling, but in rising again each time you do. You carry that power. Her words were steady, firm, and honest. Aaron saw no doubt in her gaze, only belief. Slowly, his fear began to lift. He stepped forward, closer to the pedestal. The crown shimmered in the dim light, its crimson jewels pulsing as if alive. Vera raised her hand. Take it. Aaron hesitated, then reached out. His fingers brushed the cold surface of the crown. A surge of energy coursed through him, not painful but heavy with meaning. He lifted the crown, and for a moment it seemed almost too heavy to bear. But as he steadied his grip, the weight became lighter, as though accepting him. Vera lowered herself to one knee, her tall frame bowing in respect. The guardians around the chamber echoed the gesture, kneeling in unison. Aaron stood in silence, holding the crown, his heart racing. I am only human, he whispered. Vera looked up, her voice firm and proud. Then let it be known to the stars. Humanity has risen. You are king. With slow hands, Aaron placed the crown upon his head. The jewels blazed with light, filling the chamber with crimson glow. The guardians rose, their voices humming in ancient chorus echoing through the vast hall. Vera stood tall again, her eyes burning with pride. From this day no one shall speak your name as lesser. You are Aaron, king beside the Countess of Twilight. Together we will stand, and together we will rule. Aaron felt a surge of strength course through him. He was still human, still the same man who had scavenged ruins and fought for scraps. Yet now he was also something more. He was part of a legacy, bound not by chains but by trust and choice. The throne ship echoed with new life. Guardians marched with renewed purpose. The halls shone brighter, and the air itself seemed to hum with energy. Aaron knew this was not just victory over the Morveth. It was the beginning of something larger. Later, as the ship drifted through calm space, Aaron stood with Vera on the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly before them, scattered like diamonds on dark velvet. Aaron's voice was quiet. Do you think they will come again? Vera's gaze remained steady on the stars. Yes, enemies always come, but now we are ready. They will not face a lone countess or a broken human. They will face a crown of 2. Aaron smiled faintly. Then let them come. The 2 stood side by side, their shadows long in the starlight. One was human, short and fragile by comparison. The other was an ancient being, tall and powerful beyond measure. Yet together they were equal, bound not by fear but by trust. The future stretched before them, uncertain but filled with promise. The Morveth might rise again. Other empires might awaken. The galaxy itself might tremble at the return of the throne ship and its rulers. But none of that mattered in this moment. What mattered was the bond forged in fire, the crown placed upon a human head, and the unity of 2 beings who refused to bow to fate. Countess Vera turned to him at last, her voice quiet but firm. King Aaron, are you ready for what comes next? Aaron looked at her, the stars reflected in his eyes. Yes, together we will shape it, and with that, the throne ship drifted into the endless night, carrying with it the reborn legacy of humanity and vampire kind alike. A new empire had risen, and its story was only beginning.